When you have to, you have to. And where do you have to go? To the toilet. When you look for the toilet in Germany, you ask for the Toilette or the WC. If you want to avoid that, you can also ask where you can go out. Mal austreten. Hey, come on, toilets are the same everywhere. Are they? In Japan, there is high tech, and in France, you sometimes find footprints on the floor with a hole in the middle. Let's take a look at Germany for a moment. No one will notice if you watch the video. As a traffic sign, this indicates a toilet. Otherwise, in restaurant, it says Toilette or WC or this sign. These signs distinguish between men's and women's toilets. Sometimes there are unisex toilets, either because there's only one toilet or because one would like to prepare oneself completely modern for further sexes. Apart from the pictograms, there's also a D for Damen or ladies, while there's an H or Herren for men. Toilets often have baby changing facilities, especially in amusement parks or at rest stops. Sometimes these are also in disabled toilets because there is the most space. We call the toilet a WC or a Klo, loo. Some people call it old-fashioned an Abort, a privy. The last time I used the Donnerbalken, the outhouse, was 20 years ago in an open-air museum in East Germany. So it may be that in very rare remote places you can still find the door with a little heart, but that is extremely unlikely. Typically a toilet looks like this. The toilet consists of the toilet bowl, the toilet seat and the toilet lid. There is a flush, a toilet brush and toilet paper. There are two different types of bowls. The Flachspüler, shallow flusher, the rather older version that was standard until the 1990s, and the Tiefspüler, deep flusher. Both are used in the same way, even during a longer session. You sit down comfortably and let nature take its course. Whereas with the shallow flush, the waste lands on a plateau where you could take a stool sample if necessary and let it disappear to the front during flushing. With a deep flush, the waste falls directly into the water, which unfortunately sometimes splashes, but it smells less than with a shallow flush. In any case, the toilets have a toilet brush, just in case something is left behind. You clean it up yourself, of course. Flat flush toilets are more likely to leave residue, whereas deep flush toilets are less likely to do so. Before you use a brush, you probably use toilet paper, which is the way of cleaning in Germany. There are crumblers and folders, so there are people who crumple the toilet paper or fold it, whereas in Germany it's typically folded, 70 to 90% depending on the study. Depending on what you are used to at home, you should pay attention to this when choosing toilet paper. German paper is typically more tear resistant and somewhat harder. If you've taken the last toilet paper from the roll, you should replace the roll. If there is no new roll, you should tell the host. You imagine that you come to the toilet and there is no toilet paper. In private households, you can sometimes find wet toilet paper for even more cleanliness. Waste other than wet or dry toilet paper does not belong into the toilet. For hygiene products, for example, there's usually a small waste bin nearby. In Germany, if it's just a matter of a little business, the man sits down too. So fold down the toilet seat and sit on it. In public toilets there are urinals for this purpose. Sometimes there are also urinals in private households. If you don't have one, sit down. The splashes from standing spread up to 40 centimeters around the bowl, also onto your own trousers and shoes. So if the person who is standing doesn't clean the bathroom himself, he shouldn't expect others to do so. And no, there's no medical reason why a man should have a stand. On the contrary, sitting is much less dangerous, especially for drunks. So sit down, and when you're done, close the lid and flush. Then look in again, and if you see any residue, and, if necessary, use a brush. Of course, fold up the seat to do this. When flushing, there are typically two buttons, a larger one for bigger business and a smaller one that uses less water. Here the Germans try also to save resources. Then wash your hands, whether private or public. There are always wash basins and soap nearby. Public toilets have been around for a very long time. Here is one that is a listed building in Berlin. Yes, there is sometimes a user fee at public toilets. Sanifair, the subsidiary of Tank und Rast, is often responsible for the toilets at rest stops, but there are similar providers at railway stations. Typically, you pay 70 cents to €1 and receive a voucher in addition to access, which is then credited to surrounding businesses. Especially at older facilities, small change is often necessary for this. Sometimes there's also a person in department stores or at petrol stations who cleans regularly. Often there's a plate on which you put a few cents, typically between 20 cents and €1. Often children or disabled persons can use them for free. The public toilets at motorway-only car parks are typically free to use, but are usually only cleaned once a day. In the quiet little room, as a toilet is also called in Germany, people like to be undisturbed. Apart from a urinal, there is usually a lockable door. In public toilets, there's usually an about 10 centimeter gap at the bottom so that the cleaning staff can wipe easily. Otherwise, the doors close opaquely, so why would anyone want to look through them? In schools and places where children are expected, the toilets are sometimes lower. In private households, there is sometimes a bidet for cleaning. A bidet looks like a low wash basin. You should not be confused by a bidet, and it's of course only used in your own home, not as a guest. So much for the toilets in Germany, no big deal and probably the same as in many other countries. Thank you for your attention and see you next time.